My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and we're back. I mean, it was only one day this time because, we spoke to Khan yesterday.
And we decided that 3 is a great party, so we invited Robert along.
Yes, Robert.
Friend of the show.
Hey guys, how you going?
Oh, we
Roberto.
are wonderful. It's so good to actually finally manage to make this work in terms of, you Perth timing it, you being the only person working in a cake shop in Perth.
It's
the whole
fine.
cake industry.
Well, yeah, pretty much. But I've got staff now, and I managed to keep Baked Boss Malaga afloat, so it's all good. It's all good.
Excellent.
Yeah, we mispronounce it. We're West Australians. We mispronounce everything. It's fine.
That's okay. Everyone on the East Coast, no, none of us on the East Coast know.
Look, the borders
are it's fine.
Finally, seceded as planned.
We've been, like, West Australians, quietly planning that for a long time, but
yeah.
I believe it's now going to be called Aurelia. If you're going back to the old plan.
Yep.
No. It's going to be called Westeros.
Westeros. Oh, that's right. The new plan.
Come on.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
except
the problem is that the problem is that we'll be singing Mark McGowan. Like, seriously. Yeah. Like, people are so obsessed with him, and that's fine. That's fine. It's nice that people get behind a politician who's not completely filthy, but
I would have thought in Western Australia the more common trait would have been somebody turns around and and goes, Brian Burke sends his regards, and then just like someone just gets bolted to a door.
Have they now set up the watch, along the border, and COVID is coming? Like, you ready for
COVID is coming. I like it.
The plague walkers, yes.
Plague walkers.
So before we get into what happened in the episode, I'm going to start with the drinking game because, my word, especially last night, if you were playing along with the drinking game,
you were tanked within the first 10 minutes.
How are you? Look, I was drinking. I downed a bottle of very lovely fortified brandy wine, but I wasn't playing the drinking game. I was just downing it. But if you happened to be playing the drinking game, you'd be smashed. So let's go through what happened. So contestant worried about the amount of chili they've used. No, didn't have that.
Didn't have to worry about that.
No one used. We don't worry about
that. Was a reprieve.
Yeah. Ice cream. A little bit. Not a lot.
Yep. Yeah, didn't have to worry so much about the ice cream. No.
Vespa. We had the Vespa. The Vespa was there. We got
a drink.
A judge is on the stairwell. Didn't happen.
No, we had a Reese on the stairwell.
We had a Reese on the stairwell. And we sort of dancing down the stairwell a little bit. Unfortunately, once again, the 10-shot mega square came up empty. So there were no contestants engaging in precision stunt driving using the Vespa.
How good would that be? You wouldn't have had it. Oh, you might have had an equivalent of it, but at like the Easter show in New South Wales, you'd have the Holden precision driving team.
Yes.
And you think they're going to smash into each other, but they just miss, and then they have fireworks and big explosions go off. And
every couple of years they'd hit and it made the news.
Yes.
But that's where, by the way, came out of, just for people who don't know, that's where it came out of last week when we were thinking about putting Someone Rides the Vespa away. We didn't. And then Jock got on the Vespa and was like revving it. And we nearly managed the greatest catch ever.
Let's just head towards that again.
Now, one that I was sure was a lock. The guest chef is a white male. Extra shot if the specialty is a non-European cuisine. And they saved us from that by just not having a guest.
Thank fuck.
So COVID really hit home at this point.
Yes.
The banging or cracking. Well, we had banging a few times, including
Poe tonight.
What the fuck, Poe?
I know.
I hold you to a higher standard. Look, Andy, I expect it from. He called Jerusalem artichokes J-chokes. Like, I expect it.
Yeah.
He's like the Andy from The Office.
Yes, he's Andy Bernard. He's Andy
Bernard. He really is like nard-dogging everything.
The pressure cooker. Did we have a pressure cooker this week? I think we might have on Sunday. I can't remember.
It was a long time ago. Do you have any recollection, Robert?
No, not in terms of the drinking game. I reckon like beetroot could pretty much always be on the drinking game as a guaranteed.
Somebody asked us this week as well, where why don't you have hibachi? And I said because we rotate it and we don't want people to die.
And basically we didn't need to this week because if we just said close up of trophy,
which we did,
everyone
got tanked. because in the first minute last night, 5 shots.
It's like close up of Laura, close up of
trophy,
the trophy, close up of such and such,
close up of Reynolds, close up of the trophy. It was literally.
I wonder how much B-roll they shot of that frickin' trophy. Like seriously, like artistic angle from behind the bench, artistic angle from up on the gantry.
And they got a spectacular.
From across, like,
they got a completely accidental one. They got a completely accidental shot too, because Jock went, you hear 4, and he stepped around and just the angle that it caught, the trophy like blinded everybody in the camera. But it wasn't like a reveal shot that was classy. It was literally just the light hit it the wrong way, and the trophy was like the Ark of the Covenant in Indiana Jones, and like everyone was like, no, don't look at it, Marion, don't look at it. So it was, look, the trophy thing was big. And they showed the trophy a lot this week. Not only them, they showed it on Sunday night. They showed it again tonight. I'm assuming they're doing that in lieu of a guest.
Look, I have a feeling that
the trophy is the new guest star.
Yeah, it's the guest.
Yeah.
They're working with what they've got, with the whole COVID shit going on. And I have a lot of respect for the effort everyone is putting into creating what they're out at the moment. So, but I have a feeling that they're trying to gear it up, that this is going to be the run-up in the last 2 weeks. And what they didn't know was it was going to be stretched out over the next 4 to 5 weeks.
We've got about 5.5, possibly 6.
Yeah.
It's very hard to have it so finals focused when you're like, and we still got another month and a half of this. Yeah.
Look, we've got weeks of Bachelor in Paradise promos to survive.
Oh, God.
We're going to watch Abby and Kieran fuck on a promo. We're going to do that. It's coming. It's going to happen. You know what? I said the other week, and it's true, I'm really longing for the fucking baby stealing show.
But one thing we can be happy about is we're going to get a reprieve of My Shit Husband, because that finishes tonight. So God. I'll just pull up my Judith for the last time for it.
Jude.
Oh, here I am just saying I'm very sorry, Australia, for the shit that I've put on TV tonight. And
we even know the program
cancelled.
We even know the program's not called My Shit Husband, but like
no, it's called My Shit Husband.
It is now.
Yes.
So all right. So thank you, Judith Lucy, for that.
That is such a good Judith, by the way.
It's a good look. We talk about it being the queen of accents, but in all honesty, Judith Lucy's sensational.
It is.
All right. So let's go with.
Yeah, proud West Australian, that Judith Lucy, but anyway.
Nice. Now let's go to Sunday night, if we can all think back that far. And we can all think back that far, because the first hour and 45 minutes of the show was cubes.
Yeah.
So, look, I don't hate the cubes. I don't.
Why?
But I hate the fact that the editing meant that they decided to show us the greatest hits of every fucking single cube. And we got literally almost an hour in. No one had cooked anything.
Look, someone had spent a lot of time cutting things,
cubing food.
In the case of celery, assembling things into a cube. Like, can you imagine? Like, poor fucking Tessa is like, celery is not cube shaped. Like, I feel for her. And why are we using the imperial system? We're Australians.
Metric
people. Why not a 2 centimeter square? Like, just
because 1 inch cube is much easier than 2 centimeters cubed. It's just it's not got the same punch.
What was also fascinating for me was that Callum talked about it like it was being Russian roulette. Because I'm blindfolded, and I'm like, it's nothing like Russian roulette. I mean, like, for a start, all bar one of them would probably be poisoned. And if they wanted to do that, look, that's a way to end the series that no one saw coming.
No, it would be Russian roulette if there was like a really bad scallop 1 inch cube. And just whoever gets that ends up with the shits. Like, that's Russian roulette.
Well, there were
like
people
whoever gets the crappy scallop.
There were people legitimately getting pissed off that Poe ended up getting durian. Because they're like, oh, that was easy. And I'm like, well,
she didn't choose it.
Like, and they didn't. And I originally tweeted out that I was worried about the order. But when you watched it, they were going up and down in the S shape. And they were going up and down. And it just happened to be in the order. Mm-hmm. And Poe happened to get durian.
But quite frankly, like, anyone who has smelt durian ever,
I'm quite sure that
would fucking get it.
I'm quite sure, to be honest with you, a bunch of them blindfolded were going to say durian when it wasn't in front of them. What I would have done to really, really mess with everybody, if you didn't need to use the kitchen again, what I would have done is I would have used a strumming.
What?
So Robert. So it's the stroming.
Oh, is that
That's
fish
the
stuff?
fish.
Oh,
Yep.
That's the rotten fish. I would have used the strumming and just gone, ready for this? Like, oh my God, I can't get out of my nose. And then made them guess 3 more. Because you're not guessing anything after the strumming.
Look, it's a shame that, if someone didn't want to like leave on a bomb, one season and just, cracked a can of it open just to be a big FU.
So I felt...
You got rid of me, but you'll never get rid of my stench.
So I felt bad for Tessa. I felt really bad for Tessa because, like, she got celery heart. And, like, everyone else, like, at the end when they were like, everyone, you did really well. And I'm like, Tessa hides behind her podium and doesn't want anyone to see her.
In fairness, she said it tastes like celery.
Yeah.
But it can't be because that's not the shape of celery. But also, if you kind of just extrapolate that a little bit.
It's in cubes.
Like, it's a 1-inch cube. So you've got to find the bit that you can cube.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing where she's like, it's not the shape of celery. And it's like, everything's the shape of a 1-inch cube. Broccoli is not naturally shaped like a 1-inch cube.
Look, there was a time before the late 90s when if you worked at McDonald's, you served bacon and egg like muffins from this tube of bacon. Like the bacon was sliced, it was perfectly round. Like it was more like the
Devon.
Well, no, it still had gristle and stuff in it, but so it was like that ham.
Devon has hog anus.
Delicious anus. Can really taste that colon.
Yeah, for the West Australians in the group, that's called polony.
I know, and then the South Australians are going to call it.
It's French, you bastards.
I know. I literally.
Let's have the potato scallop versus potato cake.
I literally picked the worst rolled meat I could pick then. And you know what? Fuck you all, because I hate it. So
it's really good with sauce.
Yeah, tomato sauce and fresh white bread.
You're never going to sell me on it.
Fair enough.
Did you also notice, because I picked this up, tweeted it last night, but the Masterchef fan fiction writers, and yes, we know you're out there, they got all of their wet dreams came true. Because we had a moment last night where contestants were blindfolded. Melissa Leong.
Oh, no, that's Sunday night, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was what we were talking about.
Oh, you said last night.
Sorry, I meant that. Sorry.
I know it's confusing.
Melissa Leong strides up the kitchen, heels clanking on the wood.
Clacking.
Let me clanking. Got all the way up. The contestant is there blindfolded, nervously anticipating, and she goes, "Don't panic." And scene. The rest of the story builds itself from there. Between, like, she was doing that and very dominatrix-ish. Meanwhile, Jock and Andy were popping up behind people. They were
putting
tapping
it
them
just out of their reach.
They were tapping
saying it's in front of them. They were being the jolly old uncles, the drunk uncle that Andy is. Yes.
Look, I was happy to see them having fun.
I actually enjoy the cube challenge. I just thought we didn't need an hour of it.
Yeah,
like, just for reference, like maybe this is an attention span thing or because I've been spoiled by Bake Off, but Bake Off manages to fit 8.5 hours of cooking into a 50-minute time slot.
Yep. Yeah. Look, I think all of this comes down to COVID and having to make the best of what they've got. You know, like you can see the strain in the judges. Like I've noticed a lot of them reverting back to, kind of like tropes. And I think that's just a coping mechanism. Yeah. Like, think about how fucked we were when the pandemic, I don't know about but when the pandemic first hit, it was surreal and challenging. And here there are these people that having to kind of pick their gear up, get fully dressed and go into work and pull that shit out, like to entertain people.
Yep.
So.
As someone who worked in retail or managed a retail store through this period and had almost no staff for that time, and then finally got up to like one staff member for 15 hours a week. It's not the most, like, you're kind of performing the whole time. So you're like, because for a lot of people, they've never been in a cake shop. They're making, like, it's weird, like we're cake suppliers. So not to make it about myself, but I totally get it. You're having to perform because you want to make sure that their first experience is the best possible experience that they could have.
Yeah.
And in the meantime,
they want yeast and flour.
Yeah, I know. But in the meantime, like, you are physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted and you are dying. And like, I live close to my workplace. It's not really that bad. Versus them, where a lot of them are quite a long way from home. Like Jock's wife is pregnant off in South Australia. They've got restaurants.
Border.
They've got lives. Yeah, exactly. He's like, I can't go back. That is some bullshit right there. I would be so stressed. Yeah,
exactly.
Like, yeah.
And of course, you wouldn't know if the law's going to change and suddenly production's being shut down.
Well, that was what Khan said yesterday on the podcast. He said literally when they started, going into COVID, they didn't know. They were getting daily briefings.
Yeah.
Were they shutting down? Were they going to keep running? And they didn't know what they were going to be made to do. They weren't aware. So it was.
Yeah, and that was my biggest problem with trying to make sure that my staff were happy, because Masterchef doesn't just have like a couple of staff to worry about. They've got hundreds of people in production, like literally hundreds, who are behind the scenes, who are the like even just the kitchen ninjas. The kitchen ninjas are worth their weight in gold over there. And like you finish up a cook and like 10 people swarm the bench, clear that shit out, and they're gone. Like the whole way the production runs would have had to change completely. It would.
They could have done that cheaply by
mind-boggling.
They could have done that cheaply by just using Trent.
Using Trent.
They probably got him to come in and do a briefing, on how to ninja up your skills, not be seen, not come into contact with people. Like he's got skills he can share now.
And also, I really like to test.
Come into his own.
And also, I really liked this week testing out the funny bone of Twitter. I had one person who told me that when I made a joke about Ken's extending the series by only doing tasting tonight, and the actual cook would be tomorrow. And they gave me this long thing about there's still an hour to go. Clearly, they're going to be doing more tonight. There'll be more than just that tonight. And I'm like, it was a joke. And their response was, ha ha. So I'm clearly testing the boundaries of comedy on Twitter at the moment. It's been beautiful.
But I'm also thinking, like, the reason why we're getting such short cook times and everything is because of that whole modification of how the process had to happen. Something that might have taken 5 minutes to do previously now takes 15 to 20, and that's going to stack up as you have multiple benches to clean or multiple people to avoid contacting with. Like, imagine being those camera operators. Like, you would need to have those pool noodles. You know how people talk about wearing pool noodles, social distancing, just to know if you're going to bump into someone.
So we got through the cubes eventually. We almost got a perfect cube round. I
was so impressed with that. I was so incredibly impressed. It was actually a properly impressive feat. Like when you're blindfolded and you're working with something where all the texture's been pretty much taken out of it because it's cubed, you can't tell the difference between like cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprout. They all kind of taste vaguely spicy and vegetable-y.
Although the Theodora on Twitter had a really cool idea. She said that I think it was Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen. When they do something along those lines, they also take out the sense of sound.
Oh,
because it's like it messes with. Then you've really got to work.
That's weird.
You've really got because it takes out two senses, and there's something else taking one of them up in terms of music. It messes completely with the way it tastes. So you've really got to work, and you've really got to know your flavour.
That's really cool, and I liked how the whole challenge revolved around palettes. Just a brief mention though, because we're talking about cubes. I was going to go down the path of like the dick jokes, because it's a 1-inch cube and some people might go, no, that's actually 3 inches because they have been told all their life that. Anyway, but what I actually want to say is my friend who did oscillating fan.
Yes.
He is also responsible for Cube Dad. His dad is Cube Dad. If you remember, for a very brief time a few years ago.
He was trending.
Cube Dad was trending.
So Cube Dad had a son who made oscillating fan.
Yes. Well, it actually happened before that because...
No, but he had the son first.
Yeah, he had the son, then they had the oscillating fan, and then they had a Cube Dad.
Otherwise, he was just Cube Guy, and the whole dad point was moot. Anyway,
yes.
So...
Look, I have the dizzying heights of connections in my world.
You really do. So we got into then the challenge itself. And the challenge itself, we had Tessa, we had Reynold, we had Amelia, and of course we had Brendan. So... you had to use, they brought out the 4 flavors and they revealed
air, fire, water, earth.
No, that's
unknown
Captain Planet.
Element. That is love.
That's Captain Planet.
Masterchef.
You always confuse the two.
I was waiting for like the like out of their dishes springs this like Captain Masterchef.
I mean, a lot of the time they do talk about the idea of cooking with heart, but you know, like literally cooking with heart. But so
yeah, but the little duck heart skewered on a anyway, we'll stop.
no, you want chicken hearts. Chicken hearts are where it's at.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, again, it's just pure chicken.
Just Brazilian barbecue.
Pure chicken. So anyway, we had the 4 of those going into the challenge, obviously, and this also, by the way, led to a really. I mean, I know there's so many embarrassing and horrible moments on the project. You've got to remind yourself of which one. It was the moment where Steve Price said to Brendan, what is this umami thing? I thought they were the green beans that you sometimes get when you're at sushi.
The edamame.
Oh God, why?
Yeah, like an edamame / umami. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, why did you ask this man?
Steve Price is on the project to fool people into thinking that everyone else on the project is left-wing. He's there to skew it. So you think, he's only, oh, no one's got right-wing views.
No one's as right-wing as Steve Price.
And that's
and do you know what the really sad thing is? Like, I would rather eat a box of hair than like watch a current affair or Today Tonight. I can't imagine anything more unpleasant. So I often end up.
How are you going to know if it's a fraudster, a fraudster contractor working in your area?
Yeah,
How will you know if you're going to get ripped off?
Ripping off pensioners. And then next week, the same person will be lending pensioners a helping hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Warring neighbours ripping off pensioners doing dodgy contract work.
When it's been left on, I end up shouting at the television like a deranged lunatic person, just going, "Why? Why is this happening? I don't care."
My favorite week was the week that they decided to do a story about how Costco was a ripoff, and then 3 nights later did a story about how Costco was amazing value. Clearly, Costco had paid them. And the other one was, and I've mentioned this before, and we will get back to the episode. Speaking of people yelling, I can hear people screaming at me, talk about the food. But the other one that I love was the story where, and I've mentioned this before in the podcast, a current affair went around because there were 2 of them on the same week. One of them was a guy who was complaining that they put a light post in the middle of his driveway. It turns out he put the driveway where the light post was, and he'd been told not to. So a current affair went out all indignant until they realised the guy was in the wrong. Then it became check your council plan. And then the other one was they went out to do an indignant story about brothels in your community.
Oh, no.
And it turns out the brothel was in an industrial area meeting all of its requirements, following all of the health and safety laws that it had to be meeting. And it was just one person going, someone fingered the children. And they had to do a big thing about, you need to understand the legislation. So they had to turn the story around. But the promo all week had been horrible brothel. Is it stalking your child? It's like, well, first of all, it's an inanimate object. It's not stalking anybody.
I couldn't think of anything worse than setting up a brothel near a school. One, because your clientele are not children. There's no fucking parking.
And secondly, nothing's going to put you off more than screaming kids.
Exactly.
So,
in fairness, most of the clientele aren't there during school hours anyway, so
But I'm cheap. Yeah. Anyway,
so just to just to continue down this pathway. So I used to be such a sweet, innocent person. Like, I used to be very naive, and then I got a job. What?
Is it my fault?
That you're not
no, not at all. No, I was corrupted way before that. No, then I got a job working nights while I was at uni for directory assistants, and at directory assistants at night time, it was pizza, ambulance, police, brothel. I want lifeline. I'm going to kill myself. Pizza, ambulance, police, brothel, pizza, ambulance, police, and that was just my whole night. And I'm like, I had no idea that there is a brothel on nearly every corner of every suburb. Just like, holy snapping duck shit, they are everywhere.
You got FIFA, everywhere. You got lots of FIFO workers. Anyway, so when they come back,
this was Australia wide.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And
go knock on the door down the road. Hello.
No.
I've got $50 here.
I wouldn't. There might be country music playing. Anyway.
No, this is everywhere. And the other thing that I learned very quickly is don't use public phone boxes. Some of the noises I heard, like the horror. I'm like, I'm a male. Yeah, keep talking. Okay, no problem.
You're like, okay, is that when you go, now I'm charging you $5.95 a minute?
Well, yeah.
You put on your
my favorite one was there was a creep who would call up every night. what color are your undies? And I'm like, I'm not wearing any. They pinch my balls. Anyway.
That's exactly what you shouldn't say.
That's what they want you to say, Robert. That's what they want. They tricked you again.
No.
All right. Speaking of tricking you again, we've tricked you into thinking this is a Masterchef podcast, everybody. It's clearly
not at all. It's a podcast where Masterchef is a byproduct.
So, speaking of byproducts, Vegemite, let's talk. So, can anybody explain to me why Jock thought that what Amelia was doing was weird? And without using the word fake tension. Go.
I'd say it was contrived sizzle.
Without using some form of derivative of fake tension.
Look, he's Scottish. He doesn't know that Vegemite is useful in so many ways.
He said Marmite.
Doesn't matter. They're Scottish. Unless it's deep fried, they give no fucks. We know this.
Because the dude's never heard of chocolate stout.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you reckon, Robert? Was there a reason beyond the producers going, we need to build some drama? Ooh, everyone will think Vegemite's a bit weird.
No, I reckon that you're correct there.
Here's the thing.
It's just a case of like...
Jock is not stupid enough
to
go, that's not going to work. And secondly, and Khan pointed out, that Amelia needed to back off because Vegemite was his. Yeah. But, remember, Khan won an immunity.
Against a very good chef down in South Australia.
Yeah, by using Vegemite in lieu of fish sauce. Because same general concept.
Fermented salty shit.
Yep. So like the idea, and that was like when they went, chocolate and Vegemite, is that going to work? And everyone literally took photos of the Cadbury's Vegemite chocolate.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, the answer to that is no. Like the Cadbury's Vegemite chocolate, it was foul and should never have happened.
I don't believe.
However, if you go the other way around, like chocolate stout, very good. Like when chocolate in like Argentinian food, very good. But again, you're not talking like dairy milk.
And
you're talking like, yeah.
And I didn't see her like putting half a jar into it.
No, it was enough to give it just that slight umami flavour. Sorry, edamame. We get it all wrong all the time.
Appeal to the boomers.
Sorry, Steve. We'll get it right in the future. Edamame. So she used edamame spread, clearly. Anyway.
Put some of that on your smashed avo.
So, and by the way, can I just say, when the cubes, my favourite answer for any of the cubes was a disappointing avocado.
Yes.
Was it Laura? I think it was Laura. Laura or Amelia, one of them. I think it was Laura who went disappointing avocado.
That was Laura. God, she was funny on that. Yeah.
She's had a good week. But this was where we started to get, everybody started to cop the whole, should you be doing that?
Yeah.
Should you be trying this in an elimination?
Okay, that's actually a really good point to bring up. So that's one of the things, like part of doing MasterChef or any kind of cooking competition is navigating the advice that you get from the judges. So that goes all the way through from when you're trying out and you're taking on feedback from the producers and whatever else. And then when you're actually on the show, it becomes the judges who are giving you that feedback.
Yeah.
So a big part of competing in these competitions is, what advice do you just go, yeah, I know what I'm doing, piss off? Or do you actually take on board? And being able to navigate that and back yourself, like when you should back yourself and actually take on their advice when you should take on their advice, is a huge part of playing the game correctly. And that's where Laura nearly got like thrown off. She's like, Longan, why would I use Longan? They really seem to want me to use Longan. No, that would be fucking stupid. Why would I ever do that?
It would be dumb.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big part of playing the game, is just going, no, they're clearly, this is just for the sake of like them seeing if I know what I'm on about. Like that's the whole point of that.
And
it's
you
like,
don't have any music cues or editing cues to give you a heads up if they're
you don't know what they're
trolling
doing.
You
can't hear the music playing. And the other thing with Laura too, and again, a lot of people, you've heard the endless calls of some people of Jock favoritism. Jock knows how to fuck with her head more than anybody else in that kitchen. Yeah. And if you look at whenever they do it to Laura, it's Jock who's going up there and just fucking with her.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we just managed to answer the Amelia chocolate question. So without contrived yada yada blah, they ask those stupid questions specifically to see, do you know what you're doing?
Yeah. And again for people as well who may be newer listeners to the show who obviously don't know your background, Robert. Not only was Robert, he owned a series of the Great Australian Bake Off, right up until the point where he forgot to use 2 pans.
No, that wasn't it. I was undone by 2 blonde tarts.
I'm still going back to the 2 pans thing because that ruined him for life.
And that was a crepe mistake, but it wasn't a great mistake.
It was a crepe mistake though, and also, of course,
but 2 blonde tarts will be the undoing of anyone. Really.
They will. And also, of course, though, MasterChef, audition, and on the same bench as who are you on the same bench with? Just some random person.
Yeah, I breakfasted with Elena a few times, and Carmen, and
I've heard Elena before.
Carmen.
Carmen did some stuff.
Yeah, I think Elena won some kind of big plate.
She did. She won a big shiny plate that they've shown a lot of this week.
Carmen made beautiful desserts.
Carmen made amazing desserts.
In fairness, a large part of why I tried out for both of these programs was we were living with in-laws at the time, and that's it. Now, I love them so dearly, but it was very hard to keep a straight face when they're like, so why are you trying out for MasterChef? I'm like, 6 months off, 6 months off, 6 months off.
But the weird follow-up to that sort of thing about making them all question their life and their existence was then when they cut back to the 3 judges sort of doing their own thing. And by doing their own thing, I mean Melissa was just eating the leftover cubes. Which was great, by the way. That was a great visual. They were talking basically the equivalency of what they said was, we want them to cook amazing food, but amazing food we know,
and it's balanced.
And I'm like, wasn't the word balanced thrown around a lot?
Oh, balanced. I'm surprised they didn't say words like fulcrum, pendulum. Do you want it swing one way or another? You want it perfectly in the middle.
But what I did notice with the balance thing.
Even over the fulcrum.
Even completely balanced. But what I noticed about the balance thing though is that they keep on
in heaven.
They keep on talking
and the
about
horizon.
They keep on talking about the idea of balance, the concept of balance. And while they're talking about the concept of balance and how you
star for all you ceremonial magicians out there.
This is never going to win. And while we're talking about the concept
of Kate Bush fans, just listen to Lily. Anyway, moving right along.
Yeah, I've got me there because I'm a Kate Bush fan. So I'm like, oh, really? But when we're talking about balance, I'm always amazed that they're like, I don't know if this dish will be balanced or not. Surely you're fucking tasting your food while you are working on it, and surely you're going, this is balanced, this isn't balanced. And
they were.
But the problem was,
have you ever tasted a dish so much that you've blown your taste buds out though?
Yeah, Brendan this was the problem. Brendan got so deep in his own head with working out balance.
And bitter.
But he wasn't
obsessed with bitter.
Yeah, he got so focused on one element that it actually went too far the wrong way.
Yep.
And the thing for me though was that he wasn't so much worried about balance. He was trying to pick the individual elements out. And that's what messed him up, because he didn't worry about balance so much. He was like, I can taste this one. I'm trying to taste more of this. No. You want it to balance. You don't want to be able to pick them out of the thing. If you can pick them out, that's probably an issue.
Yeah.
Look, I admire the fact that he went, you know what? I do dumplings all the time. I'm not doing dumplings tonight. I'm going to do noodles. And then at the end of it, they said the noodles were the issue. It just carried too much the edamame flavour.
The edamame. We're going to say that now forever because fuck you, Steve Price. But
on a broomstick.
But I mean, I've been there with noodles. The thing with noodles is obviously that noodles carry far more of the flavour. And it's usually the strongest one.
Chicken.
The example, the chicken, yes.
I knew that girl too on the Maggi Noodle ad.
Nice. But the thing was...
Do you remember that? Did you get that ad in WA? Back in the 90s, the kids where they're eating the Maggi Noodles, one goes, I like the chicken. No? That was a friend.
Probably.
It was a friend of Kristie's.
I also knew the girl that was raped in, what's it called? The Heath Ledger movie, Two Hands?
Yes, Idle Hands.
Right. Rock? Red hand? I don't know.
And
Black Rock.
And of course, she also bullied it's not how you make porridge kid. Anyway, dark times for Kristie, but far more importantly as well. So I had a point, and that tangent took me way off it. I don't know where I was anymore.
Noodles.
Let's move on.
Brendan,
noodles, that's right. Noodles can carry really good flavour, but also, and I've mentioned this before, I once famously tried to have a very macho sort of face-off with a friend of mine over dragon noodles, and that was a mistake. because we let them sit while we were sweating really hard. And of course, while you let them sit, they just soak more of the heat. And I've never eaten anything that hot in my life. Never in a million years. It had been sitting in the dragon broth for a good half an hour. And nothing helps. At that point, there's no respite. Nothing assists.
No. Just go lick a glacier.
Yeah.
We're just going to find a fucking glacier. Everything's melting.
I'll drift by shortly. Just like a few weeks. The polar caps are melting.
Because ones come floating past.
Yeah.
So
See, one of my favourite things to eat is the yukajang, the spicy beef stuff. But the Korean hot is a really different kind of hot. It's a slow burn, so it kind of slowly builds up. Whereas the dragon noodles sound horrifying.
No, I love the Korean. Yeah, I love the Korean burn because it's that slow build. But anyway. The hot dragon instant, you're going to die now. Nature of dragon noodles is absolutely terrifying. So obviously Brendan went home,
which was
sad. It was sad.
He didn't meet the brief, unfortunately.
No, it was sad, but he didn't hit the brief. And look, if I'm honest about it, it kind of felt like his time. It felt like he'd kind of come to where he's currently at. That's not disparaging him for people listening going, how dare you? No, it's not disparaging him.
No.
I think that, like, he's done his own pop-ups and stuff like that. I think he could possibly benefit a little bit more from doing a bit more experience in different kitchens. Just to help.
I can't wait until restrictions are lifted a bit further. Like, WA is bouncing back, but I'm guessing it's going to take him a bit of time. As soon as you get to
go
in
the dumpling.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think his dumplings would be amazing. And I hope he continues to build around that.
And that's the thing. It's like, if that's what he's happy with and that's what he's passionate about, then he should just keep fucking doing it. You know, we don't need a jack of all trades, master of none. Like,
no.
You know, if that's your passion, bloody do your passion.
Yeah, and that's,
you know,
but that's been something we've
not hurting anyone. It's actually delivering delicious food.
Yeah, and that's been something we've talked about all season. And we talked about it yesterday, of course, when we talked to Khan. We were talking about the idea of, you know, Laura with pasta. And we said it's not a singular pasta. It's so diverse and such a variety. And with the dumplings were the same thing. He was making a variety of dumplings.
But the only thing that went wrong with Brendan's plan last night was that he stopped and changed it halfway, and then he kind of lost focus. That was all. But if he had stayed on his original path, he would have absolutely rocked it out.
But that's his confidence, which has always been sort of his. And again, at one point, you got doting Reese.
Yeah,
sort of hovering over the stairs, sort
big
of
brother.
Helping to think him through things, and sort of, you know, what are you doing now? What's your next step? What's your next step? Oh, you've got this. You've got this. I believe in you. Although he was hanging off the staircase like he was a member of a boy band. It was all white too, which was even funnier. So we then go to what I'm referring to as trophy night. The night of the trophy close-ups. Now they got the mystery box and they said, this is a different mystery box. I'm still puzzled as to what exactly was different about this mystery box.
At one point I'm thinking, it's genetically modified foods, because you had the collini there. And I was thinking, maybe it's all foods that have been spliced and diced by scientists, but no. And there was no theme.
You've just got to use all of them over 2 dishes.
Yeah. So the box itself, the ingredients in the box itself weren't the difference. It was the format, which is great. I'm here for a change of format. Let's, spice it up. Out of the box thinking for the mystery box.
But what was confusing?
Deboxing a box.
But what was confusing about it was they continued to talk up the idea of
from cubes to boxes.
They continued to talk up the idea of this box, but being different. But you had, for example, in the box you had the Australian beef ribeye, all of the Aussie beef ribeye, as they called it, the thyme, the hazelnuts, the milk, the wattle seeds, the collini, who I thought was a contestant.
The 18 milk is not 18 milk as well. I'm like, is that a thing?
I thought collini was an Australian Idol contestant. And then parsnips.
The one that Dico just didn't like the appearance of.
Parsnips and prickly pears, which made an appearance in the box.
See, I thought that it was all very white things, but anyway.
Yeah, very white. It's on the veldt. It's all on the veldt.
Yeah.
Things from the veldt. But no, it was just use them over 2 dishes. And I'm like,
One sweet, one savoury. That's cool.
But it wasn't really creative.
No, but it forced people to cook out of their comfort zones. Like,
well, they said it a lot.
Reynolds and Reese both had to cook out of their comfort zones because they'd been sitting. Not so much Reynolds, but Reese is definitely like, I'll make a tart, I'll make a cake, I'll make a tart.
Yeah, I liked that we had to see a sweet and a savoury from both of them. That was the part of it that I really liked. The actual ingredients, the mystery box was a bit of a meh. Who cares? Like the ingredients themselves, I did not care about at all.
I was getting really angry about people chopping up the ribeye.
Oh, but otherwise they would have just had like how many 6 or 7 ribeyes.
What's the problem with that? I have no issue with 6 or 7 ribeyes. I was.
They obviously didn't have enough hibachis to go around.
I was joking around. Oh, got to be kidding me! They had enough for the full 24. But I was joking around on Twitter about the idea of I want somebody to use the steak only in the dessert. I don't want them to use it in the main, just the dessert. Mm-hmm. But Callum,
if anyone could have done it, Amelia could have. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, Callum was the one who came up with the really clever way to do it. The beef fat into the praline.
Yeah,
he made that beef fat praline, and look. He's making it. I'm looking at it going, I will have a barrel of that.
Ooh. I'd have to taste it. I think it could be good. Obviously, judges liked it.
They loved it.
Because he got through.
They loved it.
Yeah.
But I also loved early on in the episode where they were talking to Pa about what she was going to do, and she talked about doing the fried souffle. And I loved the moment where the jock goes, a fried souffle? Really? What? I've never heard of such a thing. And Poe goes, I did it in season 1. And you can hear Jock in his head going, I didn't fucking watch season 1. Like, why would I have had a need to watch season 1 of Masterchef? That was never something I was doing. And every now and then you get those moments where one of the contestants will say they did something, and like the judges will look blankly at them going, I don't know. I'll take your word for it.
She should just
the other thing that's interesting is you can't actually watch anything like on 10 Play. You can't go back past season 5, I think it is, or season 4.
5 yeah, the limit.
Which is a really unfortunate place to start a series because season 5 was the boys versus girls.
Yeah, I know. Season 5 was possibly the worst Masterchef series I've ever
boycotted
done.
that just based on the ads. I'm like, I'm not.
What's really funny is like even the producers or people who've been involved, they're like, yeah, and it was all good except for that season we don't speak of. So, you know.
It's like season 1 of Australian Bake Off.
Yeah, which nobody talks about. So
yeah.
You know, not against you bakers per se, but we're just against the concept and the fact that Channel 9 fucked it. Anyway,
they did their own format and it didn't quite work.
Yeah,
the baking was good. The food was good.
I don't know what did we actually think of last night's episode? Because I thought last night's episode, to be honest, wasn't. I liked the fact they had to do the 2 dishes.
Yeah,
but I thought it was bland.
Yeah, for me, I give it all passes at the moment because
it was fine
situation, but it's like. It was a bookmark, like just a position holder, placeholder. Mm. It was called in, really.
Yeah, it kind of, for me, it happened, is the most I could say.
Yeah.
I didn't find anything particularly horrific. I didn't find anything particularly brilliant. Mm. It was an episode of MasterChef. It got some people into the immunity cook.
Do you think that the issue was that they didn't focus as much on the cooking as much on the like the reveal of the ingredients? Yeah. It's like the focus was in the wrong spot.
But that's been, I think, the problem this week. I think the problem, like we talked about the cube challenge, the cooking itself was actually pretty damn good. But by the time you've been through 45 minutes of people tasting cubes blindfolded, you're kind of losing the will to live a little bit. And I feel like the problem that they had in the first two nights this week was they really put a lot of focus into everything before the cooking.
Mm.
And like, then they started cooking and you're like, okay. And also they've got time to tell some more in-depth stories at the moment. And they're kind of not.
Yeah.
Like they cut so rapidly at the moment that like last night's challenge, they kept cutting between what's happening with Poe's souffle, then going back to Callum again, then going back. And like they sort of, then they had the whole, well, is Laura's dish going to be good or is Laura's dish going to be bad? And then the rest of them were there and they existed. And Like, I didn't think I didn't find anyone's dish last night. I wasn't watching any of it going.
I was happy to see that Poe's souffle turned out well.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. But I looked at it and I'm like, I didn't find there was any moment last night where I couldn't work out who the top three were going to be.
Yeah.
And when they plated them all up, there was not even a fake moment of, oh my God, what's going to happen here? Everyone was like, it's going to be Callum, it's going to be Poe, and it's going to be Laura.
Mm.
And it was always going to be those
Tessa
three.
just forgot a parsnip.
Because Tessa forgot. Now, I'm amazed that Tessa forgot the parsnip puree.
I'm not, because there is a phenomena that was spoken about a lot during the early pandemic, which was basically our brains are full because everything has changed in the world, and our usual touchstones of what is normal, even though you're in an abnormal situation like being in a Masterchef production, all of our touchstones went away, and so there's a lot below the surface. So, you know, it doesn't surprise me that something crucial like a parsnip was missed out. It was either that or the Trent Ninjas. You know, Tessa did something to piss them off.
It is actually really, really easy to lose track of like various pots of sauces and stuff in a cooking situation like that. Like, I even did it on Bake Off. I had a sugar syrup that was like orange soaked sugar syrup for croissants. And that was a croissant episode, and it got tidied away because I didn't leave it in the right spot. So it meant that I didn't get to glaze the top of it. They're like, do you want extra time to fix this, or do you like we've made a mistake here? I'm like, no, there is no saving this horror show. It's fine, it's cool. But
look, I'm already doomed. We can't polish the turd.
No. It was still fine, but it's like the reality of it is it made no difference. I wasn't winning that round. It was never going to happen. I was safe. It was fine.
I like the way that Robert talks it down, and I'm like, you can't polish that turd, and he goes, that was good.
It was fine.
They weren't spectacular. They were just good.
They were not. No. Turns out 4 hours isn't a great amount of time to make really good croissants, unless you do it like Chris did. Anyway, he was the only one that went, yeah, it's nice that you want us to do a yeasted one, but that's idiotic.
That's
this is and this is a large part of playing the game. It's like, what is actually relevant? Like, what do I take, and do it note for note, and what do I go? Yeah, that's cute, but that's not happening.
Nice idea. Let's shelve it, and we'll circle back around to it.
Circle back.
But also, his were breathtaking. But anyway, go on.
Can I also point out that another Masterchef without context moment?
Yes.
Always.
I've got another one for tonight.
Yeah. My mouth is filled with praline love. Masterchef without context, like literally somebody out there, please. Twitter accounts are beckoning.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not running it. I run enough Twitter, and like I'm busy enough as it is. Have it.
Yeah.
But Masterchef without context, and you don't provide any context, just the quote. That's it.
Yep.
Don't explain it. Never explain.
The one from tonight was Poe. I was going to put my breast on it.
Yep.
Yep.
Like, no, I love Masterchef without context, mate.
Waiting for her to just like lift her shirt, just pop the boob out, just pop it into the steep.
It's got that kind of simple elegance of the whole Garfield without Garfield thing. It is glorious. Yeah.
Now tonight we were talking again about the idea of, and I mentioned before, but except for tonight where they didn't really do the whole focus on the thing before, but of course they did. Tonight was the alphabet, and first of all, kudos to you, Andy. I wasn't convinced you could count, but you managed to count the number of letters on the cloches. That was good.
Making sure we did what kind of alphabet do we have? We just have an English alphabet, and it wasn't like a Greek alphabet.
Or as
what starts with theta,
as they famously said on Sesame Street, "Aki deki jekaminoki skuritzes."
Okay,
it's the most remarkable word that Big Bird has ever seen, otherwise known as the alphabet. So I was a bit concerned because I'd never heard of a bunch of these ingredients,
which I loved. I thought great.
I actually,
but then you have people like. Callum just going, oh, yeah, this is, what's it called? It's the Q1.
No, but he didn't know what that was.
quark and the sawtooth coriander. What the hell is sawtooth coriander?
Well, sawtooth coriander, like the way he said that, like, I use this all the time. I know what this is. I've got this.
I'm like,
sawtooth
I've never
coriander.
seen that in no Coles, but anyway.
I'm like, that looks like coriander that someone's taken to a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
Just the crimping shears.
But again, if you can find amaranth in a Coles.
Yeah.
Although, speaking of that, before I get into quark, because we're going to talk about quark, and in particular the fact that all I knew was the Star Trek character.
So Callum was like trying for quail.
Yeah, we was trying for quail. And that's important because we've been making a lot of jokes about the fact that you cannot find quail at Coles. Again, friend of the show, Theodora, sends me a message this afternoon going, it's a couple of weeks late, but look what I found at Coles. And there's a photo of quail.
Ba-da-da-da.
Ba-da. Ta-da!
Nice.
So they actually had quail at Coles.
And I bet you if you go down to the appliance section, you can get yourself a hibachi.
And 15 billion fucking whisks. So
and probably a heat gun to really...
As I said to Khan the other day, like I was a bit concerned when Reynolds went and got all those whisks the other night. Because he was making a savoury dish.
Okay, I am right there with Reynolds. I use a whisk for fucking everything. And that was one of the worst things ever on Bake Off. Like, you'd run out of whisks.
Oh.
Like, seriously, you're fighting tooth and nail. He made the right choice. I am right there with him. So, I use a whisk for everything.
See, I'm just now thinking it's a trolling thing.
You, Reynolds, Amelia, you're all fucking weird. Anyway.
Okay, I gotta say, now, speaking of representation, right? This season of Masterchef has been just like my heaven because, like, I've got Reese, I've got Amelia, I've got, like, Jess, I've got Poe. They're all bakers, like, and awesome bakers. They're the kind of people who have the skills to just put up a cake and go, yeah, it's a cake. What of it? And it's not just like a basic bitch layer cake. It's like I made a decent ass cake. Not just a cake, but like the best cake you'll ever eat because they've got the other skills. Mm-hmm. They've got the chutzpah to kind of back it up. They've got the, anyway.
Importance of cake representation.
See that.
It's real.
Yeah.
Very real.
Yeah, cakey represent.
But back to Clark.
Coming to Channel 10 in September, Master Cake. or Master Bake.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
No.
Playing in the kitchen.
So again, Quark, all I
putting
knew was...
buns in ovens.
So again, Quark, all I knew was Quark is a, it's Quark and it's a Star Trek character. And have we ever heard of it before? Like,
it's a cream cheese.
Cream cheese that Poe knew because she yelled the answer out.
Which is great.
Poe's like that
I
person.
freaking love Poe.
Poe's in that person you wanted in the room when you didn't know the answer to the test.
Yeah.
And she's just in the corner going, "Is this?"
But this was a level of sophistication I really appreciate. Like the Cube Challenge, we got an insight into how fucking knowledgeable all the contestants were. You know, I reckon if Tessa got through that celery bit, like all of the cubes would have been gone, and it would have come down to like, I don't know, Andy hacking off a cube of his flesh for someone to eat. To guess which judge.
I wanted it to become triangle foods, the strongest of all foods. But I thought, look.
Is it a Dorito?
Laura,
no, it's a CC.
Laura had an amazing...
It's just do a Pepsi and Coke test.
Get out of my head, Pepsi and Coke.
with just like an Australian
choice from Kmart. Are Australians indeed getting case smarter every day? But be that as it may, there are a couple of things I loved in this. First of all, Laura was fucking on fire with this one, right? Everything she picked was absolute gold.
Except the M, where she thought, oh, maybe it's mushrooms. But then she was like, ooh.
Well, she got better. She got more bay bugs.
Yeah.
But then she picked a bunch of them. Like, I want watercress. It's watercress. Yeah.
Oh, Jerusalem artichokes.
Jerusalem artichokes was a great catch. First of all, yes, there are a bunch of people pointing it out, but every time they appear anywhere, we know they're not from Jerusalem. They're not artichokes. We know, right? It's one of those factoids.
Oh, they're so delicious.
It's one of those factoids that pops up all the time. I put out my factoid nobody bit, which was I only learned of the existence of Jerusalem artichokes through the fucking Hot Pot commercial from the late 1990s, mid-1990s, where she's talking about, they're going, Hot Pot, you can put whatever you want in there. And she's like, what about this? Yeah. What about that? Yeah. What about Jerusalem artichokes? And the whole tagline was, put in whatever you want, or Jerusalem artichokes if you like. And I'm like, first of all, hot pot, terrible food. Absolutely horrible. Not actual hot pot. I'm talking about the boxed hot pot. Terrible food. But that ad was the reason I never heard of Jerusalem artichokes. Obviously, I'm the only person in Australia that remembers the fucking thing. I must.
Yes.
Apparently, I'm the only
from that
one.
dimension that show that.
Yeah, but you've got the disease that my wife has, where you'll remember one weird little reference of something and fixate on that, and not the whole rest of the thing. Like,
oh no, I remember everything.
Like,
I know. But the way that you'll relate it will be, it was the Jerusalem artichoke ad, the hot pot ad with the Jerusalem artichokes.
Remember the one from
everyone else would probably remember. Yeah, I know. But that's a really odd thing to remember.
The thing that I usually have that divides me from other people is Metal Mickey. If you remember that on the ABC, it was a British show called Metal Mickey, and he was a robot, and he hung out with some geezers that fed in these. This is what really stuck with me. It looks like Hubba Bubba chewing gum. Obviously it wasn't, but that's what I thought he was eating in my head. And you're looking at me like, what the fuck? And everyone looks at me like I'm on a fever dream. And I'm like, no, it had a whole song like, it's Metal Mickey.
Here's the thing I want to say about this. Kristie's bringing this up now. Like, you're all thinking I'm fucking weird. But every time she's brought up something where she goes, you all think I'm fucking weird, the Twitter audience fucking responds.
Yes.
And they've all fucking heard of them.
You can't say
that's
metal.
Right. I remember really random stuff. Like from year 3, I did a crossword. So this would be like 9 years old.
Yeah.
And one of the clues was 14-letter word for cancer-causing chemicals, carcinogens. But again, I'm 13 years old in health class, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got the answer to the crossword from grade 3. I'm just like, damn it.
I see you with a crossword giving you the answers, and I raise you. Year 9, it was a physics test. I'd been sick for like 4 weeks when they'd done this unit, but Eureka, if you remember that show on the ABC, did the same, showed episodes on the same subject. And the teacher's going, no, you don't have to do this. I'm like, I know this. I watched the cartoons, and I got 100%. So I'm just saying.
And I'm going to trump you all here. I'm going to top all of you.
But Eureka.
I did a year 11 ancient history test.
Mm-hmm.
I was away for the entirety of it. I had done no reading. I had done nothing at all. Nothing at all on this Egypt topic. I'd not paid any attention whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I come back. They go, you're doing the test. I got 99%.
Oh, but a bit cheap.
I completely just sat down and winged it. I did a hood up. I winged it completely, and 99%. My teacher's like, you worked so hard at this. I'm so pleased with that. And I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
Really, really worked hard at that. Went home and went, I don't know how I did that. I really don't know how I plucked that.
Past
there were essays.
Just past life regression. Just
must be why I teach Egypt now. Anyway, so
in Egypt.
Yeah.
So,
because that was horrible apparently.
So Poe and Persimmon.
Oh, apparently a nemesis.
Who knew that would be Poe's nemesis?
She likes eating it though. She's like cooking with it.
What's the issue with cooking it, Robert?
Well, it's just kind of sweet and boring.
Sweet and boring?
I know a few people like that.
I was about to say.
Yep.
No one in present company or on the Zoom. Maybe the dog. Oh no, he's the reason that I didn't really pay a lot of attention tonight, because I saw a growth that's developing on his ankle, and so Chris and I were furiously, vet and of Google vetting.
Yep.
But it's loose. It wasn't painful, so we think it's just a
one of the fatty deposits.
Just a thing that the old
doggy things. Yeah.
So Poe was worried about her lack of pantry because she only got persimmon, and then. First of all, I was saying that surely if you didn't like something, just get it wrong, because you didn't get it if you got it wrong. So that would have made more sense for me.
But it's obviously well known she doesn't like cooking with them. But everyone was like,
everyone thought it was hilarious. But the follow-up to that was she then got duck and then got octopus. Now, there are a lot of people suggesting what she should have done with it. I am still disappointed.
Cthulhu!
She did not get Cthulhu. Exactly.
Yes!
I pointed out to Cthulhu. Where was Cthulhu? She had the chance to make a Cthulhu special.
Yep.
I know.
A duck lurching from the ocean.
It would have been great.
They were all talking about it's a ducken, but with an octopus. And I'm like, no, it's Cthulhu.
It is. I've seen that. Yeah. I've suggested to my friend who's a big fan of Lovecraft to make it for her family. I think she's tempted to do it. She lives in Western Australia, of course.
And of course, I do have to make mention of the fact that Poe also got yuzu.
You know what I want to do? Just take a moment to say hi to our friend Lyndall, because she listens to this podcast. Big fan of MasterChef, and we never mention her on the podcast. So hello. Hi, Lyndall. Hello to you and Claire. Claire is a massive Elena fan.
Massive Elena fan and massive Khan fan. So they were very happy with the podcast yesterday.
Awesome.
So
shout out to all our new listeners.
I also want to shout out Ms. Dessert Junkie for one of my favourite tweets with Callum's box, which was that Callum has the 100-acre wood, rabbit and kanga.
All he needed was a little piglet
and some honey. That would have been just perfect.
You taste so delicious.
I copped a bit tonight.
It in my honey.
I copped a bit tonight because I commented that rabbit is a nothing meat. It's I don't like. I'm not a big fan of rabbit. Not I don't like it. I don't anything it. It exists. It's the
non-poultry equivalent of rabbit without the delicious crispy skin. Of duck without the delicious crispy skin. Like it just is. You're right. It's just gamey.
See, I really like duck. Whereas for me, the equivalency there is then when you go to pigeon. Pigeon takes on the flavour of whatever you cook it in. Like it's got no flavour at all. It just takes the flavour of whatever you cook, however you prepare it.
I'm all about the effort to eat it, like the effort to prepare it versus the
and rabbit's a lot of work.
Payoff.
Yeah.
I just don't see that with rabbit. Plus I had to go rabbiting with my dad when I was younger. And my grandfather loved the rabbit, so we'd always have to bring it home. It had this distinct smell. So it would take me a lot to eat rabbit again.
It's one of those things where if you have it in like a really good slow stew or a nice braise or some sort of like a rillette or something like that, it's great. But you don't really just want like a Cido rabbit on your plate. No one wants that.
Probably about 15 years ago, I got all excited because I went to a meat wholesaler and I found rabbit and I thought, oh my God, I haven't had rabbit in years. I need to try it again as an adult. And it was literally when I got it thawed out and the smell hit and I'm like, oh, I can't do it now. So
so
it's like no.
So let's also talk about
cats like rabbit though.
So let's also talk about longan. So
Longan's run.
I knew that was coming, and yet I let it go. I like longan fruit. They're hard to find. They're really hard to find. I was actually introduced to longan fruit. We were walking through the city one day, and Dad, being a horticulturist, is looking around at all the trees. And there was a longan tree, just sort of with the branches hanging over the path. And he's like, "Oh, longan," and I'm like, "What?" And he's pulled a couple of them off for me. And I'm like, "Here, try this." And I'm like, "Okay." And then like I made him go back to the tree and get me a bunch more, so I could walk around eating. I really like them. Yep. I really like longan. What I was happy with tonight was that Laura had the fortitude to tell Jock to go fuck himself when he's trying to fuck up her dish by going, "You're not using the longans," and she's like, "Well, that doesn't really match the Moreton Bay bug that I'm going for." It's like delicious. Yeah, they're lovely. They're great. They're fantastic. They're not going to suit what I'm making.
If she doesn't use it, and he's got more just to eat for shits and giggles.
That was the thing that I thought was interesting about tonight, though, where they told them they then didn't have to use everything. They only had to use one thing. I would have liked to see them have to use a couple of things.
Oh, yeah.
Just to make it a little bit more
challenging.
A bit more challenging. We're getting to that point of the competition where you should make it a little bit more challenging. And they mostly did. They all used like several ingredients anyway.
That's one of the things that I've liked a lot more about this season versus some of the previous seasons. They've not had like, we can't be bothered thinking up a challenge, so just do whatever you want. And here's a loose thing to pretend like we tried. I hate that. And as soon as you take the restrictions away, you lose all the creativity. Like the dish that Poe put up is not a dish that anyone in the history of MasterChef or any kind of competition would ever, like nobody would ever walk into the pantry and come out holding a duck and an octopus and some persimmons.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I had this exact dish planned when I walked in this morning.
Yeah.
And that was been one of our main criticisms over the past couple of years is the whole, there's not enough boundary setting. And I think that the producers and stuff have actually gone to a lot of trouble this season to put some framework in, to give some structure, to force people out of their comfort zones or to experiment and try something new. And what I love is that we've got people who on an elimination, like, fuck it, I'm just going balls to the wall and doing what I want to do. Like,
and let's talk Poe, shall we? So, who was this individual in the kitchen tonight pretending to be Poe?
It's like she got out a notepad and
she wrote notes. She was Santa.
She
made a list. She checked it twice.
I was thinking more she was changing her name from Kitty to Karen.
She was working out if the persimmon was going to be naughty or nice. It was just... She was trading her MG for a white Chrysler LeBaron as well. So, it's... Look, I was staggered. Like, she wrote notes. She planned stuff. She then did what she planned to do.
And it was really fucking good.
And it worked. And, like, I love
Melissa. Even with her little diversion of, I need to strain it through muslin. Oh, it's not going through the fucking muslin. Uh-oh.
I love, by the way, Melissa Leong at the end too was hilarious, where they're obviously congratulating Laura on what she did. We'll talk about Laura in a minute. And, like, they're congratulating Laura on what she did and how great that was. And then as they're walking out, they go, by the way, Poe, what you did tonight, that's what you need to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do more of that and less of doddering Auntie Poe. I mean, she's been very...
It's one of the advantages that a lot of savoury food has. Like, if you've got a clear plan going into savoury food, you can fix it if it stuffs up really, really easily. As long as you don't overcook something, or like there's always, you've just got that little bit more flexibility. Whereas with a lot of the things, like if you're trying to set a custard or if you're trying to do something else and you mistimed it, or if you've mistimed it, or if you've got your ratios out at the beginning, you don't have enough egg yolk to set a custard, or if you don't have enough sugar to make it like soft.
You mean like the promo for Sunday night, which shows Poe not setting a custard?
Yeah, which means that she'll be fine. But anyway,
I'm not 100% convinced on that one
because they're sizzling it.
Because I have said a number of times, when Poe is genuinely going home, they'll sizzle it.
Yeah, probably.
They want people to actually bother to watch it. Now, if they might do one false finish with her, where they sizzle it and she doesn't, but I'm not saying it's going to happen 100%, but I would not be surprised if it is actually going to be this week.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense to me.
This is the point in the competition where you don't want anyone to go home.
No, exactly.
We've been killing our darlings for a few weeks now. It's a bit
the one that I really... And look, what she did with the duck was beautiful. Now, I do want to also... We talked before about, unless savoury's fine, unless you overcook it. Poor Callum. Because Callum played this absolutely to perfection. He was a master in the first part of this competition. He was just genius in the way that he was like all these ingredients that he got and worked out what he needed and what he didn't need. And you could just see that Callum had a really good plan. And the whole thing went south because he overcooked the kangaroo. And that was the thing. Everything went out of balance because he tried to do rabbit and kangaroo. Then he tried to use the livers. And jinx. He tried to
stress it enough.
Yes, he tried to save the liver, and that didn't work. It was almost, and I never thought I'd hear myself say this, it was almost like he used too much meat.
Yeah.
But he did.
But this is where you kind of see like excellence when you've got austerity. So it's the whole reason why the original concept of Noma, before it got even wankier than the original concept, it's the whole reason why he was so successful, because when they were starting out, they were working purely with like ingredients that they could access close to the restaurant. Like you had limited seasonal ingredients, so you have to do incredible things with them to make it worth the exorbitant prices that people pay to go there. Same with Poe. She's given an octopus and a duck and some persimmons and goes, gotta make it work.
Yep.
And that was incredible. Whereas Callum had an embarrassment of riches, and it's too tempting to use everything.
Yeah.
And we need to...
So it was like he was at Suzanne's, this goes with that.
This goes with that, yeah. So...
Yeah.
And
no one wants to see your kidneys out at Suzanne's.
No, definitely not. So we need to wrap it up by talking about Laura. Now, obviously we've been quite... I'll say it, I've been unashamedly really happy with what Laura's done for this series. And again, I haven't fallen into the, it's fucking pasta trap, because they're different. But what she did tonight, the brown butter bugs, I would have jumped happily through the screen and just a whole lot.
Seafood doesn't really float my boat.
But I
would have gone like a long way out of my way to try and eat some of that. Like that looked good.
It looked amazing, and I like the fact that tonight, to give you an idea of how well she did, even a lot of the people on Twitter who traditionally sort of go, "Oh fuck Laura, I hate Laura, I can't stand Laura," which is again all wrong, as we've said.
Completely.
A bunch of those people tonight went, "Look, she hasn't made pasta in a while, and that was bloody brilliant."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So everyone's finally, I think, starting to notice just how good Laura is.
Yeah. And how knowledgeable she is. Like, in her head with the ABC, she had to think strategically, like, what could be behind that and what would work. And
not only did she think strategically, but then when she got things that should be a bit trickier or things like that, she named everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the food knowledge in there, and we said we mentioned it with the cubes, and we saw it again tonight. Their food, like as you mentioned, bloody Callum getting the herbs. I was like, come on, I've never heard of that.
Or Amelia just going like mic drop moment with the that's clearly Radicchio. You're like, the hell?
The cubes, yeah, that's clearly Radicchio. I was like, what the fuck? How the hell did you do that? There were a couple of those, mate. Like the starfruit catch the other day was brilliant. It was just like starfruit. And like you saw, like Jock and Andy looked at each other and went, what the fuck? Yeah. And like Melissa half the time was looking at them going, we're running out, guys, we're running out.
I do wonder though, because, now they're in lockdown. Have they basically been creating 1-inch cubes like flashcards to practice? It could be a possibility. So, if you've got... boning up for a test, some might say.
And speaking of boning up, that means, of course, that this is the end of MasterChef week, and we move, of course, into people watching Bachelor in Paradise. Boning! No. Anyway, I'm not watching Bachelor in Paradise. I've got turnips to farm. And again, by the way, people, as Khan pointed out, Animal Crossing, get on that.
I've got cake decorating tutorials to write.
It's not as good as Animal Crossing. Anyway.
No, it totally is.
Yeah, well, yours are, yeah. Obviously we have Laura is now safe.
Yes. Top 6, is it?
Yep,
yes.
The top 6. And she'll be standing on the gantry for the challenge on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
It feels weird to say Sunday night. It still feels really weird to go, well, that's the end of the week after, like, Tuesday.
Yeah.
It feels bizarre. Especially when you were doing so many podcasts. Well, granted, we've done 2 podcasts back to back, so it's almost like a normal week again. I don't know. I mean, I thought it was a good week. It was a solid week. There was again, could we cut down the amount of time we spend in things before they cook? That would be good.
Yeah, but I think considering what they had to work with, and this is what week 3, week 4 of the pandemic, when things are starting to gear up, and they've been in ISO for quite a while, and blah blah blah. Everyone is doing exceptionally well. So, I think you can give them a pass for that they're actually...
And I've got to say, I'm actually really thrilled with this season of MasterChef. I was completely wrong. I thought, okay, this is just like kind of lazy. This feels like a real cop-out, bringing back well-known contestants instead of letting the judges kind of stand on their own, because a large part of what makes MasterChef brilliant is just seeing skilled people do what they do well, and excelling at it and being confident in that, and like pushing themselves to do better. But the reason that this has worked as well as it has is episodes like tonight. You saw 3 incredible cooks put up really, really awesome meals. All of them went, do you know what? I'm really happy with what I've done.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I'm confident going into this. And it's exciting to watch. Like, it's really exhilarating and uplifting to watch it. And you kind of get really sucked into it. Like, this was one of their better episodes for a long time. It had the good stuff from, like, why you like watching Iron Chef. You watch like artisans, skilled, knowledgeable artisans doing good stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've kind of got a bit of that.
Also,
yeah.
It also, you know, reminds you of the alumni of Masterchef, of what they've, you know, that it's okay. So not everyone, you know, develops an amazing food career out of it, but you know, there is such a legacy that's been left behind after every season of people who've not won, or they've won and they've gone off and done and explored their passion and you know, created something and added to Australian food culture. So
it does actually add some validity to the show and to the contest as a whole, just to show that in spite of some seasons maybe being a little bit more lackluster than others, not due to the contestants, but due to the way things have been edited, or like some really incredible people have been on the show and they've just like had a real bum episode. Like they get 3 or 4 episodes in and then they just disappear from the ether, but then you find them out in the wild and they're doing like, you're like, holy shit, you've got a real food career. But I think what's interesting is people who would have done well in the food industry anyway. MasterChef is just like a nice little proving ground where people get the chance to go, could I actually make a go of this? Am I as skilled as I think I am? Do my skills stack up against like other people? Like it's just, it does actually add a bit of validity to it. So in some ways, what I thought was a cop-out actually came together as like, oh no, they're kind of like
perfect storm.
Yeah. It does add a bit of validity to it. And what else adds validity to things is you add validity to this podcast, Robert.
Yes.
And
giving us more gravitas.
We are always
more
absolutely...
arse than gravitas. You know.
More arse than gravitas, but gravitas nonetheless. We are always...
Who's grabbing whose ass? What?
Not yet. Later. Edamame. So... thank you as always. It is always an absolute delight to get to have you on the podcast and get to chat and get to talk.
Anything you want to plug?
Anything you want to plug apart from, you know, obviously your beautiful place of employment? Plug away.
Nah. Thanks so much for letting me derail the show. It's always fun. Just check out robertscakesandcooking.com or Robert's Cakes and Cooking on Facebook. I've got a YouTube channel which has really shaky video and my cat screaming in the background for like an hour long.
Like our podcast.
I know, totally. But it's a bit hard to find because I've got a boring white person name. So just look for Robert Harwood Modelling Chocolate or Robert Harwood Modelling Chocolate, and you'll find all my videos under my channel there.
It's taken us years to convince him to plug things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe you should just
I'm so totally shameless. Yeah.
I could become like Moonbeam Pants Strong or something. I don't know. Something more interesting anyway. And if you want to just pop in and say hi, I work at Bake Boss in Malaga. So
So thank you, Moonbeam Pants Strong, as your new name is according to Kristie. Robert Harwood, ladies and gentlemen, as always, an absolute delight to have on the show. That is your lot for this week because we are obviously, there's no Masterchef to talk about. So we will be back this time next week to talk whatever happens, possibly Poe going home. Who the hell knows? Until next time, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all later.
Peace, love, and money.
Love you guys.